Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Legendarium Green Team. I'm your host, BefuddledPanda, and today I have with me Mr. Anderson.
Hello, Panda.
Hello, Mr. Anderson. Today's episode is a spoiler free discussion on Watermoon by Samantha Sotto Yambao. Watermoon will be released on January 14th, 2025 in the US and January 16th in the UK. We received an ARG from NetGalley to read ahead of its release for review. This episode, we're trying something a little different. I have read Watermoon, but Mr. Anderson has not. So, in this episode, I'm going to pitch the book to him and see if I can sell him on it by the end of our discussion. Ready, Mr. Anderson?
What was the title again?
Watermoon.
Okay, I'm sold. End of episode.
Well, that was easy.
Why don't you start by telling me what is Watermoon about?
Well, Watermoon is actually, before I tell you about the book, I did want to share a little info about the author, Samantha Sotto Yambao. So, Watermoon is her fifth book, and I believe it's actually her first to be published in the UK. She's based in Manila, and her official bio says she's a professional daydreamer, aspiring time traveler, and specializes in speculative fiction. Her other works are Before, Ever, After, Love and Gravity, A Dream of Trees, and The Beginning of Always. Okay, now I'll talk about the premise of Watermoon. So there are two protagonists in the book, Hannah and Kei, I think. A lot of this is going to be like Japanese names, and I am not proficient in Japanese, so apologies. Hannah is the daughter of a pawn shop owner, and the book starts with her father retiring and she becomes the owner of the pawn shop. But things go awry, her father goes missing, and all of a sudden Kay pops into her life. And well, an adventure goes on from there where Kay helps Hannah to try and find her father. And a bit more about the premise is that the pawn shop is not just a normal pawn shop. So I guess like the clients that come in to the pawn shop, they are pawning their regrets. And the pawn shop is not of our world, it's of a magical world. So this is definitely fantasy, has a whole magical element to it. And a lot of it is about choice. What does it mean to have a choice, to be able to make your own decisions, and the consequences of making those decisions? And there's a lot of like philosophical, reflective elements to this book. What I will also say is the pacing is both slow and fast. It's kind of this like really it's kind of this like really interesting hybrid where something will happen. The chapters are short and they'll end on cliffhangers, so you want to keep reading. But then there are pauses as well to meander and explore the characters within a moment in time. So I'm going to pause there. What do you think of Watermoon so far?
We started off with a pawn shop.
Yes.
And does Hannah want to take over the pawn shop? Or is this one of those things where she doesn't want to, but it's the family legacy?
It's a bit of she's not really into like becoming a pawn shop owner, but this is her fate. This is what she has been trained to do.
I see. And then we were pawning regrets. Are people coming back to get the regrets later? Like they need rent money, so they pawn some regrets, and then later they come back and are like, "Yo, can I have that? I ate too many Brussels sprouts at dinner back."
So no, once they palm a regret, they can't get it back. So basically, it's basically like basically a lot of clients when they come in, they don't understand what's going on. But by the end of it, they make a decision whether or not they want to pawn a regret. And basically, it's if they do choose to pawn a regret, then once they walk out of the pawn shop, they won't have any recollection of that regret. It's as if it just never happened.
I see. Was this written in English?
Yes, this is written in English. Something that I just found out is she wrote it during the pandemic,
Mhm.
and it was her like escape, her creative outlet. And it's very much inspired by there's a like a historical, like really well preserved street in Kyoto, and it's like all these old historical Japanese houses. It left a really big impression on her, where on the outside it looks very historical, but once you walk in, like she walked into a building and it was like a very modern coffee shop within. And so it was very much like this duality of old and modern.
All right. So, and then father just disappears.
All you know is the father disappeared.
And he shows up.
Yeah, I think it's like K-E. I don't know. It's K-E-I. He has a longer name, but then his nickname is like K-E-I.
Okay. And they go on this metaphysical adventure to find the father.
Yes.
I see. Is Key, is he introduced before this, or does he just show up around the time the metaphysical adventure starts?
He shows up after the father has gone missing, and he comes into the shop and finds Hannah in disarray.
I see. Assumingly he wants to get rid of a regret then.
Maybe, maybe not.
See. And then the pacing is both fast and slow.
Yes. So this is not a long book. It's under 300 pages. It's not like I didn't blitz through it. In fact, it was like I said, the chapters are short, so it's fairly quick moving, and there is plot happening, and there's like with each end of a chapter, it's like and then something happens. And you're like, "Oh my goodness, I need to know what happened." So you want to read the next chapter. However, it's also like I wanted to savor the book because it is quite reflective. It's quite the writing is the best way I can describe it is like it's soft. It's very lovely, but it's not like purpley prose. It's just very it's just very soft is the best way I can describe it.
Can I put you on the spot?
Yeah.
You have an excerpt?
Yeah, hold on, let me find one. Okay. So this is like a conversation between two characters. And one of the characters says, "Broken things have a unique kind of beauty, don't you think?" And the other character says, "Some things wear their damage better than others. I have found beauty in all manner of broken things, chairs, buildings, people. People? Especially people. They shatter in the most fascinating ways. Every dent, scratch, and crack tells a story. Invisible scars hide the deepest wounds and are the most interesting."
Okay, I see what you mean. Although the bit about broken people sounds a little scary to me. I don't know if I'd want to be left alone with that person for long.
Well, I mean, it's not like physically broken. Could be physically broken, but it could also be like, emotionally damaged.
Yeah, no, that's not better.
Well, actually that brings up a good point, which is this book is not all pink roses. It's not just like fluffy. It's definitely heavy. There are topics in here that it just gives you pause and honestly makes you think. Like I said, it's very reflective, so makes me think about like decisions I've made, my philosophy, my moral compass. So it's not just like a popcorn fun read.
All that from a pawn shop, huh?
That's where it starts. And there are reveals as you read. Something that I really like about this writing is how the author shares information with the reader layer by layer.
So you said it goes fast, but you want to savor it.
Yes.
This sounds pretty heavy to be going fast.
I know. And so that's the thing is like, I think that the fast part is like, there are exciting things happening. There's like suspense, there is intrigue. And so you want to find out more. So let me find like the end of a chapter. For example, like a character said to another one at the end of a chapter, "You carry around all the decisions you have ever made in your life. This choice is no different. And I think that you already know exactly where to find it. And that's how a chapter ends, right? And you're like, okay, what is the choice? Like what are they going to do next?
Mhm. So then, what didn't you like about the book?
I think so I gave this 4.5 stars. It was almost a 5-star book. One major qualm I have is how it all ends. I think the ending was a little rushed and honestly, a little cheesy. But I, it wasn't like bad. It wasn't like, terrible. I still really enjoyed the book and I like the concept of how it ended.
So there wasn't much, like until the end, there wasn't much you didn't like then. It was all good right up until the kind of, not bad, but okay ending.
I think there are some parts that are a little convoluted. So, there might be a little drag in the middle. And for some readers, you probably will think it's a little predictable in how some of the reveals happen. I honestly had like no expectations really going into this book. I knew very little going into it. And so for me, I was just along for the ride and I enjoyed the reveals as they happened.
And then what were some of your favorite parts? Or if your favorite aspects, I should say, if we're trying to keep it spoiler free.
I really like this whimsical nature of the world, of the plot. It does get quite dark in some of its world building, and it does feel like I can see this as a Miyazaki film. Like I could see Studio Ghibli adapting this, and it would be beautiful. It would be impactful, emotional, and the like quirkiness of a lot of Ghibli films that I think the ambiance, the vibes of this book, I already said like the writing I really enjoyed and the reflective nature of the whole thing.
It does, based on what you read, it almost sounds like an adult children's novel.
Yeah, it does. And but it does, I would say like it's definitely for a bit of an older audience. I wouldn't read it to anybody like, I don't know, younger than 13.
And then how did you find the characters?
I really like the characters. The two main characters I found interesting. I like their dynamic. It is a bit insta lovey, but I think there's good enough reasoning for it. And yeah, it is a bit of a romance, but it's not like, I don't know, it's not like smutty kind of romance.
So it's just one of those kissy novels, I see.
There is kissing.
Ew. Okay, so we like the writing, we like the characters, we seem to like everything except a bit of the dragging in the middle and an okay ending.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's almost like this book had multiple endings, like multiple places where the book could have reasonably ended. And I do wonder if it would have been better if it had stopped a little earlier. But I don't hate the actual ending.
So why should I read it instead of waiting for the Ghibli film?
Well, first of all, I have no idea if it will ever get adapted. I think it should. And second, if people don't know, we are married. um,
Wait, when did that happen?
yeah, when did that happen? I think it would be an interesting conversation, like book discussion for us. Just like the topics and kind of philosophical moments and honestly some things that happened in the book that would be fun to for us to discuss.
You said the same thing about Exordia, and that did not get a glowing recommendation from you.
Okay, yes, but Exordia is like just really, really weird. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I think that if people like the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think you may be inclined to like this book.
See.
It's not as like quite as bizarre as the movie, but it's that kind of like whimsical, it is strange and just like things that you don't quite expect.
I wasn't thinking of that movie when we were discussing this, but now that you said it, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be the team that adapts it if Ghibli passes on it.
Yeah, A24, they're not gonna be listening to this, but if
You
they
never
if they
know.
happen to come across, then yeah.
So, other than conversation starter, why would I like this book?
I think you would enjoy the writing. And I think you would enjoy, like, finding out about the world and the reveal, the suspense and the intrigue. I think you would have a good time reading it. I think also it's good. Like, there's quite a bit to chew on if you want to. Like, if you just wanna read it for the story, you totally can, but if you wanna get more out of it, you can.
And then I've got loads and loads of books I want to read. When should I fit this in? Is this a drop everything and read now? Is this in a soon but not right away? Is this add to the pile and see when it pops up again?
That's a great question. I'm not gonna say this is like drop everything and pick it up right when it releases, but I do think that, like, if you're in a slower period of your life in the winter, it's actually a nice, like, kind of winter read. It's a bit cozy at times. But that being said, I could also see being a good summer read, because of the adventure aspect of it and just like some of the setting and context of the adventure could be a good summer read.
Mm. Have you read any of the author's other books?
I have not. So
Uh,
this is my first foray into Yambao's writing, and now I'm really intrigued to read her backlist.
I'm curious, do you know anything about them? Are they like similar to this? Or is this kind of like a departure from
I
them?
honestly have no idea.
Eh,
Yeah.
right then. Well,
So have I sold you on it?
I'm sold, yeah.
What I'll say is I saw, on social media a video of the hardcover US edition, and it's beautiful. The dust jacket is it's a piece of origami. Like,
Oh.
you can fold it into a paper boat.
Hmm.
The art of the on the dust jacket is also printed on the actual, like, hardcover of the
Mhm.
book. So, I have already pre-ordered it.
This does not surprise me. You said it folds into an origami boat. Do boats feature heavily in the book?
There is, a segment of the adventure that has boat and water. I would say water plays quite a bit of role in this book. It also actually gives me a little bit of, like, The Magician's Nephew vibes. It's basically like the mechanism of how, some things work in the world.
If it's got boats, I'm definitely sold.
Well, there you go.
Anything else you want to say to cement my decision?
I think if your interest is piqued, give it a go. Even if you don't have to buy it, get it from the library, read the free sample, like, previews, and just see, like, if you like the writing. Because I do think that if anything, it's like the writing might be make or break.
I'll give it a shot, but I'll have to wait until my wife gets this fancy hardcover we apparently pre-ordered.
Yes. The book comes out January 14th, 2025 in the US, and then it'll release internationally after that. I'm very excited, looking forward. This is what I'm actually excited for. I'm excited to reread it with my own physical copy so that I can annotate it.
I have to read it first. I don't want you writing in the book before I read it.
I may or may not have multiple copies on the way.
Oh, I see. Oh, good. Well, it's been fun interviewing you about this book.
Well, thank you for joining me on this episode, Mr. Anderson. And I hope listeners got something out of it. If you're interested in Water Moon, then hopefully you'll pick it up soon after its release. Let us know if you like this format. And we will have a spoilery discussion on the podcast a little bit later after release. And with that, until next time.
Don't you have to tell them to like rate and subscribe and all that?
Follow, subscribe, like all the things, social media, buzz, buzz, buzz. We're going to cut that out.
The Discord, shouldn't they be on the Discord? Can't cut this out. This is good stuff. This is the call to action.
And if you have read it or end up picking it up, and wanna join in on the discussion, wanna talk about this book with somebody, you are welcome to join the Legendarium Discord. The link to the Discord will be in the show notes.
Mm, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Until next time. Bye.
Bye. Is that it? Are you done with your intro? Spent a long time writing your script for it.